So when I get out into nature, I often like to isolate shapes, and for the sake of studies, keep them simple. Unique shapes of trees, or a group of trees, or a couple trees, or certain rock strata, certain designs in the sky. So I'm going to be working on a number of smaller paintings over the next number of videos, and I don't like to paint small paintings. I don't like, well, put it this way, if it's going to be a small format, I don't like to put too much detail in there at all. I prefer the look of a study, something that generally is a little bit looser, more impactful, quite dramatic. Often I tend to get a little more colorful on them. But even the thought of painting, whatever, a tiny shoreline and the little trees off in the distance, my hand gets cramped just thinking about it. So I won't go there. But I thought on this one I'd start with something that, I'm doing this a bit from memory, but I've painted this tree-ish at times in the past, and I really kind of just liked its shape. And it's not just one, it's actually a couple. And I don't even think of it so much as a tree. It's just kind of an interesting looking thing. Of course it's a tree, but you know what I mean. I hope you know what I mean. I'm not always that good at explaining these things, but... Okay, now, for a plinth of these beautiful sculptural things, I just often like to put it on a small hilltop. Set it in there as more or less a silhouette, and, well, shall I even draw any sky in there at all? Maybe I should first simply paint these shapes. Let's see. Of the rock design going in that direction. Shooting up, sort of aiming out towards the sky. Who knows? Anyway, there is the simple little charcoal sketch. Now I'm going to put in my dark lines. This tree is damaged as well. And I like that. It's just gives it so much more character. Had a rough life. Like the grain elevator I just finished. It's got okay, maybe a million's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's got a lot of stories to tell, if it could. I think we'll go a little lower with this trunk, with this dead one that's standing behind it. Maybe a bit of a hole there. setting in our hilltop here. Really more of a rocky knoll. I think I will leave that spot open so that we have as a reminder to allow for a bit of trunk showing in the bottom, a bit of tree trunk. Okay. Now I'm just going to block in the entire, well, this pair of trees with the dark color. Really showing a couple of branches poking out there. Okay. All right. I will just set in these. The shoulders on this canvas are a bit rounded, a bit soft shouldered. So I think that seems to be where most canvas manufacturers are going, or stretcher frame manufacturers are going. Starting to see that more and more. It's just as well because cotton isn't a very tough material. Nothing compared to linen. And cotton is predominantly what is being produced now. Okay, I think I'll just take I'll take a blob. I'm going to tear off a blob of ultramarine, what is this stuff? Raw umber. And block out this burnt sienna foreground. Sort of giving us the idea that all of this is sky. So we're kind of standing, a little lower than the trees, looking up. This is a pretty toothy canvas, actually. A little toothier than I like on a small one, but all right, I shouldn't complain. Because I was planning on using panels, and panels have no tooth at all. Well, almost no tooth. Okay, now we'll start painting the sky. And in painting the sky, we're actually painting the trees. Because we're going to finesse all of our edges and groom them. A little study like this, very important to get the next step, to get it right. Alright, well, a couple of minor changes to my silhouette after a short sit down. Now I'm ready to go in with the sky. I'm using a mixture of titanium white, cad yellow pale, and yellow ochre. Now that approximates Naples yellow. And if you want to just use Naples yellow with varying degrees of white, yeah, you can go ahead. But my Naples yellow will look richer than yours because it's not pre-mixed. It's just kind of thrown together on the palette. So, careful, fuzzy little strokes here. Fuzzy, why am I saying fuzzy? Fussy. There, that's better. This isn't a painting that I plan on going over my own strokes on very much. It's kind of a, well, alla prima really. All the first strokes better be my best ones. Getting more towards my yellow ochre now. Okay. Our point of light really is, pretty close to center. Again, it's fine it's in the middle. Most of the light's going to be here, most of the dark's going to be here. And it varies enough that we're not concerned about the dead centerness of things at this point. Not a concern at all. So I'm down in value just slightly on the back side of this tree. A little more yellow ochre. A little less cad yellow pale. Okay, adding more yellow ochre yet to the pile. As we, whoops, I don't want stray hairs. What I'm doing now is very difficult to do unless you've got a pretty new brush, which is what I have. Sometimes a new brush is a real nuisance, but not in this case. More yellow ochre. And yes, my dark color is still wet. If I drag a little into the paint, so be it. Okay, now we're almost at straight yellow ochre. Almost at just a straight yellow ochre. I'll try to time my comments when there's no vehicle going by. Shorten that a little bit. Our hill goes like that, our knoll goes like that, I want my sky to go like this. Or have that, the approximation of that feel. So I'm setting that in right now. And we'll end up going something like this. Alright? Oh, excuse me. Actually, I think more like this. Ah. Whatever. Something along those lines. Little dab of the lighter stuff right across. Okay, back down to the yellow ochre. Toning it down, taking it down a notch. Okay. We'll just pretend for the moment that's going to be a band that leaves the painting off the top. Now I'm touching really ever so slightly the my raw umber. And adding that to the same pile. Now it's more yellow ochre and raw umber. Okay, toning down that chroma as we get up higher. And I don't like having to paint around those shoulders. It interferes with my natural laziness. Okay, I think we'll bring that raw umber mixture right down to here. Okay, so we've already begun to establish the feel of color sort of bursting out from this area. A painting like this is all about well-placed brush strokes. And as I'm filming this, I'm taking many little breaks and sitting down and having, you know, just ignoring the painting for a little bit. And then coming back to it. It doesn't always go that way, but in this today, that's what I'm doing. Or right now, that's what I'm doing. Okay. I'm still playing with ochres. And I've added yellow ochre, or I've added a little bit of alizarin crimson to my yellow ochre to warm it up a little. You know, in areas like this. So, now, we're going to, again, yellow ochre and a little bit of, actually no, I'm not going to add it to the same pile. See, in this pile from which I'm working at the moment, I have cad yellow pale. And I'm going to go slightly mauve, slightly purple. If my pile of yellow ochre, alizarin crimson, and white is used, and I add a little bit of, say, ultramarine blue to that, it'll go a little bit mauve, a little bit purple, it'll stay warm. If I had in that same pile already added cad yellow pale, then when I add a little bit of ultramarine blue to it, we're going to get hints of greenish, which will actually go dirty. So I'm remixing a fresh pile now of white, yellow ochre, alizarin crimson, and a touch of ultramarine blue. Now, you get greenish out of that too, as you can see. But, and it can be nice, and I may use it yet in this sky in places. I kind of don't think so. What I'm going to do is add a little more ultramarine blue to it, and we'll go into the purples a little bit. Very gradual. That might be a bit too gradual, and that's okay. I'm going to tighten it up a little bit right now. This is probably too dark. Well, nope. I think I'm going to work with that. Oh, excuse me. Bring that purple up a little higher on this side. Even into there. All right. A little more of that stuff. Sorry, it's kind of a game. As I said the other day, this is Right now it's just time for me to focus and not talk too much. I know when I was a child, many of my classmates and my parents also probably wished I would have adopted the notion of not talking so much. Quite happily. Okay. That's more or less it. Now, a little bit of grooming in this guy. I think I'd like to make the design a little more distinct, so I'm going to clean this brush up. Let's get into this with a little more light. I guess I'm being kind of soft, but I'm okay with that. Let's give this a shape here. And this has a little too much body to it for my taste. Or a little too much of the same color, I suppose I should say. Okay. I just made that more complicated than I wanted to. I'm going to lose that steady feel and end up with a painting on my hands. And what painter of decent conscience wants to end up with a painting on their hands? My goodness. Okay, that's better. See, going a little bit lighter. Much easier to do than going darker, as always. I'm sorry I belabored that point, but it's pretty important. Save yourself a lot of work. Okay, I'd like that to become a little more distinguishable. That line. All right. I don't really like this curve in here. A little too much weight up top. I'd rather it feel freer up top. The top of the painting. So we'll soften that. Not quite as high a value, not quite as high a chroma, but You know, I get the feeling that if I keep working in this sky, I'm going to kill it. It's going to lose all definition. So maybe what I'll do is stop right there, halted in its tracks. Well, we have our drawing done. Our shapes are in place. You know, I just have some pretty minor decisions to make as far as this is concerned, because this is not the important part. Sky's painted, happy with it. I'll probably only do one more video on it, likely tomorrow, and I'll speed that one up. This will be, since I've been painting professionally, if this little painting turns out, this will be painting number 2000 that I've sent off to various galleries. Yippee! Okay, see you later. Have a good one.